Well, we're back for another coffee break. Time to chill out for a minute and just gab, okay? Are you ready? Okay. Well, before we get started, I want to remind everyone right at the top of the vlog that if you haven't subscribed and you want to, don't forget to hit the buttons below and the thumbs up if you like the video, and make comments in the comment boxes that are below, because I really do like the idea of sharing in conversation with everybody, but I can't do that if nobody is doing that. But I'm encouraging that for anyone who might be listening out there or watching or both. And share with your friends, and if you don't mind being a part of a channel that likes to sit and gab in the car or wherever I might be about different things going on in the world and in my mind and in life in general, then go ahead and be a part of that conversation. I'm going to encourage you to do that and say welcome to the coffee break. Now, today's topic is called Why I Don't Date Anymore. I think that's a good subject because, I'm of a certain age, I guess, I don't need to necessarily convey what that age is, but you can look at my beard and see it's got a little gray in it, I'm not grandpa, but I suppose if I think about it, I probably could be if things had worked out in life in such a way early on. I could have been a grandpa by now. I don't know. It's a subject that probably a lot of people will relate to because, there are people out there in the world who just don't have anybody in their lives, and they feel lonely, and they don't feel a part of anything. And, I don't necessarily feel lonely all the time, but I do feel lonely once in a while because, if I have a choice, it would be nice to be able to share conversation with people and have companionship. I think that's the big thing about being in a relationship, is being able to spend time and share and confide and grow and nurture in someone else's life as you try to do the same for yourself. And relationships, in my experience, have been very difficult to accommodate in any way, shape, form, or fashion, because usually, I don't know, maybe it's just the times that we've been living in, but there's so much drama going on. There's so much tension. There's so much lack of communication and misunderstanding and misinterpretation, and no ability to work your way through it, or no interest in doing that. And that might have a lot to do with because we've become a society that's completely engrossed and indulgent in instant gratification. And even our social media has to have an instant posting, and it has to have instant responses from people and what have you. But back in the day, it wasn't always that way. I mean, you had to take your time with building a relationship, and I really feel that even today, you really need to do that. If it's too fast and furious, and you're doing things like, being, someone like setting up your marriage for you and you've never met the person, or what are those TV reality shows that, what are they, 90 Day Fiance, or, marrying somebody you don't know and all that kind of stuff. I mean, and then what happens to Bachelor and Bachelorette? Oh my goodness. How do you build relationships with that reality lifestyle mentality? I don't see that you can. And here's the thing with me, so that I can get closer to my point sooner today, why I don't date. And that's because of all the drama, because people just aren't interested. They have an agenda or an ulterior motive for trying to build a relationship with you. Well, in fact, they're not really building a relationship with you. They're just trying to get their needs met and get what they want out of it. And when the novelty wears off, they just sort of disappear and move on and say, forget that. Or, they just basically are looking for someone to take care of their needs completely, like a sugar daddy, or instant gratification, as I mentioned earlier, things like that. If they're not going to get those things from you, if you're not meeting their needs or expectations in quite the way they want you to, and there's no compromise and there's no meeting of the minds and no meeting in the middle or anything like that, then there's no growth there, there's no nurturance there, there isn't a relationship there. And I guess dating is a complicated process because you have to sort of figure that out early on and try to cut it off sooner if you feel like it's not going to work out. Don't try too hard because people have to accept each other for who they are and love each other for who that person is, even with all their faults. And I think that's a part of the problem too, is that people don't want to accept that other people have quirks and flaws in their lives and who they are as a human being, just like you do. And then you try to be something you're not and put on a facade and try to make yourself look like something you're not to impress somebody else in the process, and then you can't do the same for them. I just think there's a lot of phoniness there. For me, the last time I went on a date was in 2009. Okay, I don't know if that's too much information right there, but 2009 now is a long time ago, right? We're talking about 10 and a half, 11 years now. I remember it was like October of 2009, and I made a decision because I was going out off and on with the same person, and they made it they initially made it clear that they were kind of looking for getting involved and having a relationship, but then shortly thereafter they decided, no, I'm not really interested in that at all. They completely changed their mind and did a turnaround on that. And you feel like you're wasting your time getting to know someone who doesn't want to get to know you back and just basically wants to walk away. And you have to let them do that, you have to respect other people's wishes too. But when you're really trying to make a decision on if you're going to be, partners in life, you have to have more than that going on. And I'd had too many relationships prior to this dating episode in 2009 where I was just being used, to get what somebody else wanted. And when I couldn't provide that, or I didn't provide that according to their expectations, wants, desires, and needs, then they would act out on that so they could sabotage it and make it look like it was all my fault and walk away. But really what was going on there was a lot of drama. This is why I don't date anymore. I don't want the drama. I don't want explosions. I don't believe that if you fight together all the time, that's what makes a relationship, though some relationships work really well that way. It's not for me. I don't want that kind of conflict. I do want to be able to express my thoughts and my feelings and my needs and agree to disagree and compromise and all that, but I don't feel like I have to scream, scratch, and fight my way and claw my way through that relationship just to get my point across on who I am as a human being in the midst of the relationship. And there has to be that give and take going on there. It's not one-sided. I think I mentioned this in the last video. Life is not a one-way street. It has to be reciprocal to a certain degree. Now, I was talking about something different there in the last video in reference to communications with other people, but this is kind of related to that because you're trying to communicate with someone and get closer to them, and the only way to do that is to be able to express yourself as your true self freely and feel comfortable in your own skin around other people. If you can't do that because they have an ulterior motive or agenda and they only are in a relationship with you to get what they want from you, whether that be sexual gratification or money or something like that, then there's no authenticity there in that relationship, if you can even call it a relationship. So and it becomes abusive is where I'm going with that. And I did get into a point where it was getting a little bit abusive. And when people start hitting each other or screaming and yelling at the top of their lungs over nothing, or trying to egg you into an argument of some sort, then that's really not what a relationship is all about in my mind. It's not what I'm looking for. And so after having gone through that experience several times over the few years prior to my deciding in 2009 to give up, then I truly got to that point in my mind where I said, no more drama. I can't handle this. Obviously, if I was meant to be in a relationship, or if there's someone special out there who can accept me for who I am, and I can do the same for them, and we can grow and nurture and build each other up instead of tear each other down, then it would have happened by now. Because like I said, I am of a certain age. And back then in 2009, well, that was 10, 11 years ago. So I was like, I wasn't old. I wasn't as old then as I am now, obviously. But, gee whiz. I figured if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now. I mean, people get into relationships when they're young, and they get married, and they have kids, or they find the right person, and it doesn't matter who it is or how the relationship is founded, you know, whether you're in a relationship. What I'm speaking of here is that there are all kinds of relationships. So there could be men who love men and women who love women, and men and women, and they build their families and their lives differently, but they are building their life, is my point. So however that goes for that individual, it has to be, you know, reciprocal, and it has to be one that respects and honors the other person. And I think that's what a marriage is all about. Whoever it is that you're getting married to. In any case, the drama is not necessary, and I decided that if it was going to happen, it would have happened by then. And over the years since I made that decision, I started making jokes early on. Oh, I gave up on dating. I retired from the dating world. And I joke about it, but you know what? There's a certain sense of seriousness about that too. And, you know, because I'd truly given up on the whole idea. And can I be happier with myself than I am with another person, kind of thing. Well, it's not what I would choose necessarily, but it is the way it turned out. And over the last year and a half to 2 years, I have opened up my mind and my heart and soul and my spirit to the idea that, you know, it could still happen that I could meet just the right person who'd be interested in building a life with me as much as I'd want to build a life with them. And I would be open to the idea of dating if it wasn't built around any of the drama. And as soon as I sense that, if I sense that as true drama that isn't going anywhere, you know, without being too judgmental early on, then I don't want to waste my time anymore on, you know, conflicts. I don't think we need to be that oriented toward conflict, you know, to fight like that. Now, the occasional argument, and then it's going to happen, and it's going to take some work with each other, and more importantly, acceptance of each other. And when that happens, then it'll happen. I figure, you know, I'll know more when it starts to happen again. But in the meantime, that's why I don't date now, and why I haven't dated. And you know, I'm a caveman-looking guy anyway. So you know, who's gonna want to date this this sourpuss of a face, right? Takes a lot of work to look this damn ugly, is what I say to folks. Anyways. That's a long way to talk about how I don't date anymore, or why I don't date. And I'd be interested in to know other people's experiences and if they're kind of in the same boat. So feel free to share, and we'll get together again and talk next time right here on the coffee break over some other topic. So join me next time. If you hit that notification bell, you'll know when I pop back up. Okay? Until then, have a great day, and I'll see you later. Bye for now.